to say this for everybody. I will be getting my motorcycle license. We'll be doing it.
Yes.
I know it's been... I did it. I'm an official rider right now.
He did well. Passed his test, got his license, got the bike registered.
Yeah, that was actually, it took a little bit longer than I expected. It cost a little bit more than I was expecting too, but I guess that's what happens when you don't register a bike for a couple of years.
Biking's not cheap. We also got the parts ordered. My brother came over this weekend, who was also a rider, and we did all the work on the bike. Got an oil change in her, got her all tuned up, got her running nice and strong, got a new mirror put on in the bracket, put the new battery in from it sitting in the garage for 3 years unused. 3 years unused. But now all 3 of the bikes in my garage, I'm happy to say all 3 of them get pulled out and ridden finally.
Can't help but laughing about the mirror though.
Yeah, well, that's later into the story.
Well, they just saw it, so... Well, we'll get to it though.
Yes, yes.
All right, so after we got it fixed up, which took a lot longer than I was expecting, but because I had to leave right in the middle of while they were fixing it, while they were working on it, I had to leave because one of the kids had a dance thing, and got back as fast as I could, and it was already up and running. We had a little bit of an issue with the oil change.
Yeah, we had a little bit of one of those stupid things that, you know, happens when you're in a hurry and you think you're a better mechanic than you are. No, I'm joking. My brother's actually an excellent mechanic. This happens. I'm sure there's other people out there who've had this happen. When you pull an oil filter out, we pulled the filter off. It had been on there for 3 years, just sitting in the garage. So when we put the new filter on, we didn't realize that the old rubber seal on the bottom of the oil filter tore off and stayed on the bike. So when we put the new oil filter on and tightened it down, it created a squish and then let it leak oil. It was just sitting in the driveway leaking oil. We're like,
he took it for a test drive and he came back. He said, "I'm leaking oil. The filter must be bad."
He's like, "Yeah, the back tire is just sliding, spinning. We're just blowing oil all over the back tire."
I ran real quick and got another filter, got a whole bunch of more oil. He came back, took it off. He said he tightened it too hard, must have squished the gasket, and he took it off. And he said, "Oh, the gasket came off." He goes, "This is the old gasket."
So it's just one of those freak things that rarely happens, but it does happen. Anyway, let's start kind of at the beginning of your journey. You know, you've been saying for 3 years you're going to get your license, You finally booked the appointment.
Yeah. And
just tell us a little bit about how you liked the school and how that went.
I enjoyed the riding. It rained the entire time. Just the 2 days that I did it, it rained the entire time. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I am a born natural, great rider, because as you saw, I'm not. But I still have a little bit of trouble with as you're going to see in the videos coming up. I have a little bit of trouble with turning. I'm starting new on it, and sometimes I don't look through the turn like I should. So I go wide on a lot of turns.
It makes the classic mistake that almost all new riders do, is when they go into a turn, they look at where the bike's going instead of where they want the bike to go. And we're working on him with that, and luckily he's got good, seasoned riders in his corner.
I'm very, very, very blessed to have the people with me.
And the other thing is that takes a little while as a rider, is trusting the bike to do what the bike is designed to do, which is handle the curves and take the leans and stay standing upright. When you're new, you're afraid, if I lean over too far, it's just going to dump over on me, or if I turn the steering wheel, I'm going to just completely wreck.
Yeah. But you just gotta. So the 2 biggest things that I've had issues with that I need to start working on is finding that zone with the clutch and riding it forward with the clutch rather than worry about the brake or worrying about gas. Just working that clutch and just going the slow turns. I need to judge my speeds a little bit better in the turns. There were a couple turns where I should have slowed down more into the turn, and I went way too wide. stuff that I'm going to work
A little bit more consistent throttle control. Sometimes you'll take off and you'll go really hard out of the gate, and then sometimes you'll take off. And like when I was behind you, I'll be like, "Are we going to go today? I mean, shit, the other bike's like a half a mile away. Let's get this thing shifting." Yeah. But it's all new rider stuff, and like I said.
The big thing for so I have a helmet. I have a Scorpion EXO T590, I believe, and so I wear a full face mask, which you see. But when I'm riding, it's great.
And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate from all the safety people out there. I don't wear a helmet.
He did today.
But today we wanted to run the GoPros, and I have not decided to stick the GoPro mount onto my Harley yet, just because I have a thing about sticking stuff on my bike. But I put it on my helmet today and hated wearing a helmet and hated having it up there so bad that it will get mounted onto probably the front windshield, which is a cheap replacement part in case it screws up the finish.
Okay, so instead of jumping, we'll go ahead and start with the ride. So we started off. We started this morning. We started.
Well, today was his first official ride. Like he took it around the block after we did the work, real quick around the block, which I think he had his first little incident.
Yes.
On that one, he
low sided. I didn't go into a turn. I was at a stop and didn't go into a turn fast enough, and kind of
just did a little fall over.
Even slower than the
other. It didn't hurt anything. Yeah. I mean, I think it put some scratches on his arm or something.
It was
a little raspberry and maybe a couple scratches on the mirror.
It was definitely.
But it was minimal.
It's definitely just like I couldn't believe I did that.
Yeah.
But today was the official.
But like I told him in the beginning, it's every biker knows this. It's not when or if you go down; it's when you go down. At some point, you're going to put that bike down, at least minorly. At some point, so he's taking care of this. He gets one more, and then that's always allowed.
So we started off. We showed up at the house. We got ready. We had our coffee. We were excited. I was excited.
Yeah, I was amazed because Jeffrey's new to riding, so there was excitement. So I kind of expected him to be somewhat on time. I'm always on time for almost everything. And my brother is typically not an on-time guy. He's a run by his own internal clock kind of fella. But yeah, called him. He was up. He came over. He was here on time. Well, within 15 minutes of on time. And we got out nice and early, about 7:30 this morning. Did about a 3.5 hour ride, which is pretty good for a new rider to jump in the saddle and ride out 3.5 hours. We kept him in the cradle all day. So
yeah, it was a group ride. We started out. I started out just a little bit nervous. So first of all, I have a Honda Shadow 750 Spirit.
Yes.
And I'm short. And I'm having some issues with the peg location. We think that it might be extended.
It has extended pegs on it. From everything I can tell watching videos on YouTube and looking it up online on a stock standard right off the shelf bike, it looks like he's got probably about a 3-inch extenders on it, which puts it, and with him being shorter, it means he's got to hug the tank with his crotch, and then it puts his feet where he's just hitting the pads. So all day long he's kind of having to shift just a hair to hit either hit shifter or to hit brake.
I can't comfortably reach out and hit both. But my leg is fully extended. My knee is it's not
so
locked.
We're gonna dial those back, get that readjusted. But I think everything else is pretty good. We're going to also drop the bike probably at least an inch minimum, maybe 2 inch lower, to give him a little bit better. He's having to tippy toe it a little bit.
Which it's, at a stop, it's not bad. But if I have to
you should
back up, and I should be able to be
on a bike. You should always be able to flat foot both feet, or at least most of your foot should be down on both sides.
Yeah,
but he has to, in order to get one foot down, he has to lean the bike, and that means the other foot's got to be up. Yeah. Either tippy toe or off the ground.
Yeah.
And that's not a comfort thing. You're way more comfortable on a bike if you can put your feet down and know you're stable and secure.
And then reaching the shifter, and so I'm brand new to riding. I spent the 2 days in the course. I'm used to driving a car, so there are some things that I have to work on. So as all new riders, I assume, when you're riding first and you're having to shift, you want to look at the shifter. You want to make sure you're hitting it. So I got over that real quick. I didn't look at it. I had to locate it the first time, and then once I located it, I had no problem. I was shifting, no problem all day, downshifting, upshifting.
It's just like a car, but it's a lot of movements. You got to use, your eyes and your mind for viewing ahead and riding. You got to use your left hand, your right hand, your foot. All of it comes into play throughout the whole ride. Even your right foot for braking, especially in the rain, as we'll talk about later into the video. Yeah, so it's a lot. There's a lot going on. You got up and downs, you got foot shifting, then you have your clutch hand, then you have your throttle hand, and that's also your front brake, and then you got your rear brake for anybody who's not familiar with what a bike does.
And then you have a turn signal that sticks.
Yeah, we also got a stick.
Luckily, I was in the middle, so
at that point you just I meant to tell him at that point just stop using it. You're in the middle, so you don't really need it. And if you need to, just throw a hand signal.
Yeah. And I know those. I did.
Yeah, they're simple, and they only got to be half-assed anyway. Cops don't usually bust you for that shit. As long as you stick it out there in some direction or other. And on a bike, you don't even have to do the right turn. You can actually just point with your right hand, just like you do with your left. Now, in a car, you can't do that because you can't reach your hand out the window.
Yeah.
But on a motorcycle, it is legal to extend this arm out.
So we started off, and the very first part, yesterday, like I said, I was at a stop and made a right-hand turn, didn't give it enough gas, and just fell. And it was it was almost at a standstill. Embarrassing, because I know better. So when we started off, I was a little bit, I'm riding with some very experienced guys. I was a little nervous about it, and you could see in the especially in the video, I was a little nervous. I was a little
but I'd say probably 30 minutes into the ride, you can see a comfort settle in.
Yeah.
A little bit more comfort on the bike, a little bit more comfort with the riding, and that maintained, pretty much for most of the day.
Yeah,
he kind of fell into that comfort vibe until it came time to make some turns, and he'd drift a little wide and kind of a little wider than he should have. But will come with time. I mean, it is weird to get into something and have to lean to turn. I mean, if you think about it, we all did it on bicycles as kids, but we didn't think about it because it's low speed.
Yeah, for sure. When we were riding and we were hitting some, just some curves and some winds, and when my mind wasn't thinking about it like a turn at a stop, I did it. I leaned with it. There were a couple times where I was drifting in the lane a lot, but I was more comfortable doing the curves. But when I wasn't thinking about it, when I started thinking about it, like when I had to do a turn or something like that, I thought about it, and that was part of the downfall.
But what's good is the times when you didn't really think, you rode better. Think about it. When you made the turn into the gas station, went up and pulled up to the pump to get fuel, you just pulled up and did it.
Yeah.
Where you weren't overthinking what you had to do coming up. You just followed suit and pulled up to a pump.
That was
some people riding motorcycles, pulling up to a fuel pump is not an easy endeavor because you want to be close enough to reach the hose. I don't know about all riders, but for me, I like to be close enough. I don't have to get off the bike. I mean, I can do everything right from the bike, fill it up, and then go. I don't like to have to get off and stand beside the bike.
That was at the point where
that's just the way I do it.
That was at the point where I started getting really comfortable.
Yeah.
Like I could literally feel like my back untense, and I could feel my shoulders kind of drop. And
he did really good. For the most part, we only had two stalls on takeoffs. They were both on takeoffs, and they were just little chokeouts. So nothing big. He rapidly fired it back up. Didn't lose much time. He was back into the mix, and we ran lead bike, him, and then a chase bike. We kept him in the middle so that he didn't have to worry about oncoming traffic as much and worry about where he was going, and he could just enjoy focusing on leveling up his experience.
There was that one point where you were leading, and we made that right turn on the midway, but right as he turned, the other light turned green, and I was not testing that. So we waited for an opening, and I made the turn, but I didn't realize that the right lane is a turn lane. So I was there. I was kind of stuck. He was already ahead, and I was like, "Shit, I need to get over." And luckily, Dan was just like, he just popped over and it was fine.
Well, yeah, that's what your chase bike is meant to do. He's meant to jump into a gap, and then he can hold that gap for all the other bikes to fall in, which in this case was just you. And it was my fault. I totally forgot that, he was that he's newer at it than he is, and I rolled up, the light, nobody was moving. The light was just changing from our lane, so I just rolled around the curve thinking that they would follow suit. Because the light just changed, so don't even slag. Just round it and go. Because it's a really large intersection. I figured, shit, even if they started going as you were coming into the turn, you'd be gone before they caught up on a bike. But
I made a really good turn there, too.
They stopped and waited, so I went through the next light, pulled into the chevron, and waited for them to catch up.
Yeah. That was I think one of the best turns I made. The last two turns I made were actually really good. Over here, turning onto Port St. Lucie Boulevard from whatever road that is. It was a good turn, and then turning into the driveway was a good turn.
You did get on Indian River Road where we were running at 25 miles, 30 miles an hour for a good 10 miles or better. He did good at throttle control and staying in his place. At first, when we first started, he had a little bit of stagger. He was off stagger, but we talked to him at the next stop, got our stagger figured out better, and we did a day of two firsts. We did another first, which was we ran GoPros all day. We ran two of them, one on his bike on the handlebars that he didn't have to worry about, just leave it run, and then I wore a helmet, which I normally don't do, with one on top. It suffered for it. It is hot in a helmet, but we're able to run a GoPro from the front and back. We got some footage that I'm sure you'll see on this video. Unfortunately, having never ran a GoPro before, we weren't sure on angles and how to set it up right.
So the back view.
Today was our learning curve, and so the back view, when I'm in the lead and they're behind me, is you get more of the road than you get of them. Yeah. So I didn't get a lot of footage on that.
You were saying at some points when the light turned green, I was a little slow to get off. When I stopped at a light and it was red and the other cross traffic was going, I kicked my visor up, and because it gets hot so fast. But being new, I'm not comfortable yet, like riding and pushing it down. I got comfortable later on.
It wasn't a problem with your takeoffs. Your takeoffs were fine. It was a problem with going from first to second to third gear. Yeah. You would take off right in pace with my brother, because I can only judge it from when I'm in the back easier than in the front. I can still judge it, but it's that you're using your mirrors and it's a little different. But from behind, I could see it firsthand very clearly. And like my brother would take off, and you would take off at the exact within seconds.
But I stayed in first.
But yeah, you would lag behind because you weren't throttling up fast enough. You weren't getting through the gears quick enough, and it's fine. I mean, there's no problem with that. It's just as you go, you'll get a little faster. You'll stay a little tighter formation. And
I'm not going to joke. I'm not going to lie or anything. A couple times I missed it. A couple times I went to kick it up and I missed it. When I missed it, I had to try to find it, and I didn't look. And finally, when I found it, when I was doing that, I had the clutch in, so I did slow down. So yeah.
But it was very nice. He got to drop hands for a group. We passed a group of bikers. Yeah. He felt very proud of that moment that he got the hands down
for half of them. For half of them, and then I went back up, took a breath, and then got back down for the others.
He's wanted to ride bikes for most of his life, but never really was surrounded by other people that rode, never really pursued it on his own. So it's just always one of those things that's like, oh, one day maybe. Yeah. So today was a very big day. It was a good day. And we went for a full-on 3.5 hour ride. We were out there.
And
we actually did some rain ride when we were coming back at 1A on the beach.
Well, it had
rain. The beach. It had rain. We didn't really get rained on other than a few sprinkles, but the roads got really, really wet, which
led to.
And unfortunately, it was one of those 15-minute rains, downpours for like 10, 15 minutes, and really doesn't rinse the road off. It really just makes it a slippery mess.
Yeah.
And so we got to ride at least, I'd say a little under a quarter of the ride was in the wet, slippery condition. Probably an eighth of the ride was in slippery condition.
When we went through it, I was really paying attention to don't stop on the lines, don't accelerate in the lines, don't try. I was really worried about the paint. I was really paying attention to it.
And that was the time of the day that my brother got to make his mistake. Mine was leaving them with not enough time to round the turn at the light. That was my kind of oops, new guy mistake. My brother's little bit of an oops, which it still falls on the rider.
It's me.
But it was a little bit of an oops. If I'd been in the lead, I wouldn't have taken the route he did because I would have known what it entails. It entails quite a little tight U-turn. And like I said, the roads are slippery. It rained, but only enough to make them really slippery. And go ahead.
Yeah, so the slow maneuver turns, I need work on a lot, and it's something that I'm going to be working on as far as I can until I leave. But we came to the U-turn, and I don't want to blame it. Was definitely not his.
Now remember this: as we're coming into this U-turn, I am chanting in my head behind him.
Yeah.
Don't use your front brake.
Yeah.
Don't use your front brake. Don't touch that front brake.
So we come up, and I make and I'm at a stop. Dan goes, and I creep up, and in my head, I'm like, okay, look through the turn, easy, find the friction zone and stuff. So I went and looked and started to go, and I went wide. And instead of turning, I looked at the curb. And when I saw the curb coming, I tried to turn a little bit more, and I hit the front brake and slid. Very slow. It was very slow. It didn't hurt.
Slow speed.
Yeah.
The bike went from standing to laying in less than a second.
Yeah.
And what he did is as the wheels turned, he tapped that front brake, and as anybody knows that rides, that is an instant dump. On wet grass, wet pavement, sand, anything that doesn't give you really good purchase, you tap that front brake, it's over.
Yeah.
And it kicked out. And I saw it happen. I mean, I saw him going a little wide, but I thought, well, he's still got the turn. As long as he just kind of rides it out, he'll make the turn. But as soon as I saw the bike start to dip, which I mean, I'm talking a split second, I was like, front brake. He hit the front brake. So I immediately hit neutral, kickstand down in the lane, jumped off, helped him get off. Well, he had pretty much tumbled off the bike, but we got it standing back up. We got it pushed off into the entry into the.
I don't know if you were able to see, but I was wearing gloves. And as soon as I fell, I wanted to. A lady stopped. There was a lady who stopped. I don't know.
Very nice lady, nurse, older lady.
And I was trying to talk to her, but I couldn't through the helmet. And instead of taking my gloves off first, I tried to take the helmet off, and I couldn't because of the gloves. So I ended up pushing the strap forward and taking it off. He thought I was going to. I was mad. He
was clearly mad. I thought he was going to chuck the helmet out of frustration. He did not. He set it on the ground calmly. We lifted the bike up. While he gathered his helmet back up, I pushed the bike off to the shoulder into, I think it's a CVS or something there. We pulled it into the entrance lane and regrouped, let him bring his adrenaline back down and settle. We thanked the lady for stopping. She was very concerned. And I have to say, I am very proud of Florida today because every time we held up traffic or we had a little bit of an issue where we weren't moving as quick as what people would want or we were slower on the road than what they would want, no horns, a lot of patience, a lot of thumbs up kind of stuff, and that lady stopped, was really polite. Everybody was just really cool today, so we had a really great ride experience as far as we didn't get those a-hole drivers.
And then after that,
he was very cautious, as you would be. Anybody would be when they're new and they have that little spill. So he was very slow, cautious on the way home.
It was not painful. Nothing hurt. I think I got a little scrape on the elbow. I don't even feel it. It was embarrassment, and it was a little bit of ego because I felt like I had done pretty well.
You had you not hit the front brake, it would have ended a very epic first ride, and it still was. I mean, he handled himself great. He stayed in the saddle a lot longer than some people I know on their first days riding. I was overall. I thought good job. It's only a matter of just log the hours behind, in the seat, and you have no problems.
So the only
grinning like an idiot the whole day.
There was a part of the ride. I don't know if it's going to show up on the video we were able to take. We recorded a lot. The GoPro battery dies fast as hell. So fast. So we figured that out this trip. Next time we'll work it a little bit better. But it was right when I started feeling pretty comfortable with things. I started feeling really good. And there's this thing that my instructor, told me, and he's told me too. It's enjoy the ride. You're on a motorcycle. That's what you want to do.
Stop worrying about everything and just enjoy the ride. That's what makes riding a motorcycle so amazing. Is it's therapy. It's your peace. It's just enjoy the ride. Let everything else in life go and just enjoy the moment. And if you can do that, motorcycling is the greatest thing.
So I'm sitting here riding. I can't even remember what road we were on. It was back over by it was leading up to what's it called? Tradition. So I'm riding.
So Village Parkway.
Yeah. So I'm riding, and it just hit me. It's like I'm riding a motorcycle. I've wanted to do this forever. And I smiled, just cheese.
And I got to tell you, if it was me back when I first started riding, I would have found that to be pretty badass. To be not only was it your first ride, but you're in a small group. Which anybody who's rode groups, some people hate it, but the first time you ever do it, it's pretty cool to ride in formation and to ride with a group, especially a group that's not strong on the what I call the overdoing the rules of riding. I believe everybody's an individual rider. You want to jump out in the second lane beside us and blow down the road and get a little energy out. Yeah. I have no problem with it. Some of them, it's like you gotta do check all these little boxes, and I think that just kind of ruins the individual spirit of riding, even though you're in the group.
I didn't have to worry about anything. I just, I felt a little bit bad because when I did slide, he's like, I didn't even think about it. I should have thought about it. I'm like, that's on me. That's not even fair.
Yeah, I mean, normally when you're leading a ride like that, whoever's the lead bike, you'll pick the routing off of, if you have somebody who's new or really inexperienced or somebody who struggles with something or other, you would avoid those circumstances. But at some point, you got to make that U-turn. And I told him, I said, it's better you did it while two experienced riders were there to help block traffic, to immediately respond to getting you back up and getting you off the road, because we've all been there. We've all dealt with other people that have been there. We've helped out. So it was literally not even a problem. Nobody was rude. Nobody trying to make that same U-turn, because that is a high U-turn area. Because when you come out on that road, the only way to go west is to make that U-turn. So it's U-turn. I mean, it's car after car after car. So, but everybody was super cool and patient, and even the people entering in and out of the Walgreens were super cool and patient with having to wait one lane to let everybody by. All in all, great day.
It was. I told you, just like. It was everything that I expected and more. I loved every second of it. It was freeing. It was enjoyable. My mind was just soaking it in.
Super proud of you. Glad you had such a great time, because it's fun to see another person, especially when you've been riding for so long, that you know what you love about it, and you know that you have friends who love it, and it's in its life. That owning a bike, you would own a bike over a car any day of the week. You'd be a daily driver over a car driver any day of the week. But it's nice to see someone else get into biking and they have that, oh my God, I'm doing this. Oh my God, this is awesome. And you don't get to see that on your season guys, because they've been doing it for years. They love it, but it doesn't always show.
Yeah, it was like I was, as I was coming over, I think I told Haley.
It's like a 5-year-old on Christmas morning. It's fucking amazing.
Man, I was telling Haley on the way over, I was like, for me, it's like I'm going for the ride. This is my first ride. I'm so excited. And him, who rides every day to work, he's like, yeah, it's my bike. It's what I do.
It's right.
And here I'm just like giddy as a little schoolgirl.
I used to joke. I used to try to ride, and I tried to ride with some, to find some riders. And I was having a hard time because I work a lot and we're not always out and about. So I was having a hard time finding people I could ride with. So I used to joke, about finding people that were into my kind of things to ride with, so that the experience is enjoyable. And I always joke, I'm going to build my own crew. I'm going to build my own bike group. I'm gonna find my own riders. So then my two nephews ride. Actually 3 of my nephews ride. My brother rides. My other brother rides. Jeff rides now. My youngest son rides. I got my next one is my daughter Bree. She's over there giving me thumbs up that she's getting excited. So hopefully she's going to go through the class within the next year or so. And hopefully about that time, Jeffrey will be graduating up to a bigger bike, a bigger cruiser. And that'll open up that bike to go to another learner to get their
And before you know it, we're going to be inviting other people in. We'll be doing group rides.
Yeah, we hope to eventually, as we grow the channel, we have more viewers, that we're going to put together some rides that people are more than welcome to come and hang out with
Hell
us.
yeah.
And especially if they're in our area, or if they're willing to travel, whatever, and do some weekend rides, or at least a good 9-10 hour ride.
I could just see some viewers who catch this video and turn around and go on a group ride and point at the puddles.
Yeah.
Like, careful for the water.
No, I pointed. You notice I did
No,
I did my
talking
job as the lead bike.
Yeah, I'm talking about like.
Heckling you. Yeah, I'm sure you'll get some heckling out of some people. Shit, you think I'm gonna let it go? I mean, I will until you're better. But once you're a seasoned rider, I will give a shit about it.
It bothered me right when it happened, but they were just like, it's number 2.
It happens. It's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when. You're going to lay it down at some point.
And
there's too many things to remember.
And the 2 things that were really beneficial was I was with them, and they were just instantly on me. Dan said it looked harder than it was, but I think he just saw me in the mirrors.
Well, you went down hard. I mean, you work out. You're in the gym every day. You're a big guy. So you took the hit hard, but it was a good, solid, lineman hit. I mean, that was a good hit. Because, I mean, you go from standing to laying in just a matter of a second. It's a hard hit. That's a decent fall.
I didn't feel, I mean, it hit my ego. That was all it hit. I didn't.
But you got to remember, you got adrenaline, you got everything else kicking.
I'll tell you the thing that I'm sore the most for is reaching for the pedals and
on fixing the bike.
Oh, that's why I laughed
This
earlier.
used to be his son's bike. Or our son, however you want to view it. My stepson, his son, whatever. When the last time he wrecked, he slid out because a car cut over in front of him and slammed on the brakes, and it was either hit the car or lay the bike over and let it slide. So he laid it over and let it slide. Well, when it hit the ground, it busted the mirror off and cracked the clutch lever area that holds the mirror. So it had no way to put a mirror on it. So we ordered from Honda. We ordered a new part. We put it on the day before.
Yeah, the day before.
And just put it on, and guess what happened? Other than putting a couple scratches and tearing a little piece of superfluous chrome off of the foot peg, it took out in almost the exact same way it broke. It took a little V out of that same bracket. So now we're going to be ordering another bracket. We might just need to order them by the dozen and keep them in reserve. And the mirror, luckily, handled it. It didn't crack. It did scratch it up. It's a black mirror, so it took some scratches that are noticeable, but a little bit of black touch-up paint, and you'll never even know.
Yeah.
Plus, it's not a show bike. I mean, it's a pretty bike. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's a small. It's a beginner bike.
It's our training bike.
Yep.
But needless to say, yeah, I'm in it.
We're looking for our next ride, man. We will be going back out again as soon as possible. We won't get to do as much rides this trip as when he comes back next trip. We actually even have a St. Augustine ride planned, so a whole weekend,
hopefully,
or 2 days of riding.
Hopefully, we can get those pegs fixed before, because the only soreness I feel is when the extension of the legs. That was it.
Yeah, I'm going to work on trying to factor and figure out and get with Honda and see what all I got to do to get those pegs back into what I believe to be the original position, and if I got to order cables or anything, get with him about what.
So hopefully by the time this comes out, it'll already be fixed.
That's what I'm hoping, so that the next time he's home, it'll just be ready.
Yeah.
We won't have to spend a week or two waiting on parts and fixing it. We can hopefully. I'll just have to. We'll take care of it.
Yeah, we're gonna make a plan for that. So, but with that being said, I'm a rider, and
congratulations.
Gonna keep going. Loved every second of it.
Welcome to the biking world.
So, glad to share that with you. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed the little clips and the little spill. So, close it out there. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me about the time you were learning and took a little spill.
Smash that bell.
And we'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
See you next time.
Right in the same spot.